We'd like to welcome our guests this morning. Good morning, Howard. How are you, sir?
Well, go on. How you doing?
I've been doing good. How about you?
Herbal drinking on my hand and everything good.
All right. Lucky you.
Yeah, man.
But I'll get a chance to do likewise sometime after 10 o'clock this morning.
I'm sure.
We also want to welcome another guest of ours this morning. Good morning, David.
Hi, good morning to you and all.
Glad to have you, David. First time on the program. Glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now, I'm going to start with my guest, Howard, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
David, what kind of guidance do you provide to your clients as the head of real estate and project finance at the Sygnus Group?
Certainly. Well, as you commence the segment by pointing out that we provide a flexible approach to deploying capital in real estate projects, yeah? And so what we do is work closely with our clients to craft creative solutions by investing either equity or debt in all forms of real estate, and that could be commercial, residential, industrial, or hospitality. So more specifically, the guidance that we offer will encompass several stages of a real estate financing for a project. That includes the due diligence. We'll help them to look at the technical aspects of it, surrounding the property itself, the title issues, and so on. We'll also offer financial guidance in terms of how best to structure the deal, what works best for a particular project. In some instances, it may be debt, some instances, equity. It could be a profit-sharing note. It could be mezzanine financing. So we have a range of solutions that we can discuss with clients when they're trying to structure a deal, as well as we can look at offering them technical guidance. I'm also an engineer myself, so we can sit down and go through the plans and drawings with clients. So we can offer technical guidance to them as well as guidance with respect to risk. You know, what risks are associated with the project and how should we mitigate the risk before we launch a project. And of course, you know, also just discussing any regulatory issues in terms of the approvals and what the authorities are looking for a project to be successful. So in short, we offer guidance across a range of subjects to ensure that our clients end up with a successful project.
Sounds really all-encompassing and really, it's like music to my ears just hearing you say all of that. What would you say are some of the steps involved in financing a real estate deal, David?
Certainly. Well, it begins with the initial due diligence, pretty much, because, you know, before you really want to get into spending a lot of time and money, looking at a real estate project, you want to look at the fundamentals. You know, what does property title have? What does property title allow you to do? Have you got a survey ID report and evaluation report? Those three documents are important to understand the piece of property that you're trying to develop. You know, are there any caveats? Are there any covenants that you have to go to court to have lifted or modified to allow you to build what you want to build? So the initial due diligence is a very important phase because, you know, that without that step being done, you can end up wasting a lot of time trying to get a project going if you miss that step. Then, of course, you go into the technical review and development. You know, what are you trying to do? Is it a hospitality project? Is it residential? Is it commercial? And, of course, you have to look at the market. You know, what is the market demand? You know, it makes no sense you go and try and do a residential project if there's no demand for it. So you need to be able to aware of what is the market asking for. Then, of course, you have to put together a financial package, you know, the budget. So how much money are you going to need to build this? What is the cash flow requirement going to be? What assumptions have you made? And clearly, this is a very important step to know, do you have an economically viable project? Then, of course, you have to go through the regulatory approvals to ensure that you will be allowed to build what you have actually prepared. Then we go through a series of internal reviews with some committees, a real estate investment advisory committee, as well as a risk and credit committee, just to review the actual deal itself. Then, of course, we have the all-important KYC and AML, that's the Know Your Customer, and anti-money laundering step that our compliance team has to go through for obvious reasons. Then after that, it's approval and we disperse funds, and from then onwards, it's really trying to monitor the project to ensure that it stays on schedule and on budget. So those are the real steps that you go through in putting together a package for financing a real estate project.
described in one word: comprehensive.
Yes.
Yes. How would you agree with that? I'm sure.
I'm in total agreement.
Yes. I have a question for you, Howard. What role would you say that the realtor or the realtor associate or broker would play now in a real estate investment and even project financing?
Well, Richie, we are more a quasi-consultant, or we play an advisory role, because as agents and brokers, we have to have knowledge of the industry. We have to know where the market is going. As David mentioned earlier, we have to know the demand. We have to know the areas and what can be built where, you know, applying the highest and best use on behalf of the investor. So we give those sort of guidance as to what products we believe the market will appreciate at such a time and at a place where the investor is looking to build. And where it comes on to project financing, we are more geared and equipped to just recommend to sort of our strategic partners such as Sygnus Capital for that in-depth and comprehensive, as you mentioned, guidance in project financing. What we do is not just send our investors to any and anybody. We want to send them to someone who has an in-depth knowledge of the industry and the process of financing, so that they're guided and they can be, you know, charted through the entire course step by step, as we would have if we were supposed to do project financing. But we are more on the advisory role of the market analysis, and we hand off to know our partners such as Sygnus Capital for them to know do the project financing and the viability.
Okay. Still play a very, very important role. David, with your experience, what would you list as some missteps that persons can take should they choose not to seek advice for real estate investment or project financing?
Sure. I'll list 5 very quick ones here. Number one, I'll say, is the failure to research the property itself. It makes no sense to go and design the best of buildings when a NEPA or the title or the development order won't permit you to build what you want to build. Because as you may be aware, there's a development order for every parish in Jamaica that tells you street by street what NEPA will allow you to build there, whether it's a commercial, a residential, industrial, and so on. So number one would be, if they fail to research the property, and then you end up spending a lot of time trying to spin wheels, trying to get people to change regulations and so on to suit your particular project. So do your research. NEPA DSC is very, very helpful, but the number one misstep really is failure to research the property itself that you want to develop. Number two, I'd say, is incomplete feasibility phase, wherein you don't take the time to understand the market, you don't take the time to understand the numbers, and by extension, you end up trying to develop a project that is just not feasible. Number three, I'd say, underestimating the regulatory process. The regulatory process in Jamaica is quite comprehensive and can take quite some time, and a lot of people tend to underestimate the time it takes to go through all of the agencies, NEPA, Parish Council, NWA, NWC, JPS, if you have to do a high-rise building, Civil Aviation Authority, and so on. So there's a number of agencies, and if you underestimate, you think that you'll get through your approvals in a few weeks. That's just not the case.
Not going to happen.
So you go and start making promises to clients about when you deliver the project, when it's just not possible because of the process that you need to go through. Number four, I'd say, is a failure to identify and mitigate the project risks. As you know, a real estate project has quite a few risks associated with it, and you have to take the time to understand what those risks are and mitigate them. And quite frankly, if there are certain risks, if you can't mitigate them, then you need to walk away. And those risks could be a regulatory risk, as I just spoke to, could be a risk in execution of the actual project, could be a risk in marketing, it could be a financial risk, it could be a reputational risk. So that was, I would say, would be the number four step: failure to identify and mitigate the project risk. And number five, I'd say, is trying to adjust the project scope midstream. Too many times, developers start projects, and midstream they suddenly have a bright idea. They want to add another floor, they want to add a few more units to get a bit more money or something. Once you start to mess with the scope, it's going to affect the budget, it's going to affect the schedule, and it's going to have an impact on the project. So number five, I'd say, is trying to adjust the project scope midstream.
You know, those I can identify with those, and you know, Howard, there's so much information still that we wanted to look at, which we're unable to do based on time constraints. We might have to have a part 2 on this, believe you me. And
we will be more than happy to.
I'm finding it so interesting, yes. So let's look at that. Suffice it to say, though, David, Sygnus is an active player in the market at this time. Am I right?
Correct. Yes, we are. We are very active. We offer not just real estate, but also private credit, private equity, investment banking, wealth advisory, and we also have the only tax advisory in-house within the region.
Yes.
So we have a comprehensive suite of financial services available.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, as I said, we have a flexible approach to deploy capital in real estate.
Yes.
And we're happy to work with our clients, you know, to craft creative solutions to meet their needs.
And you can easily be found for sure. Howard, let's do the tip of the day and then get on with the deal on the edge. First of all, the tip of the day.
To secure funding, you must demonstrate that you are able to accomplish the goals of your project. For this, you will likely need relevant development experience and a track record of successful development projects.
That is our tip of the day. And now, the deal on the edge. Back to you, Howie.
Yes, we have a nicely renovated 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house located in Bridgeport, St. Catherine. It is available for renting today. This house is perfect for a family that enjoys peaceful surroundings, the outdoors, and bountiful fruit trees. It is within walking distance of the main road with easy access to public transportation. We invite you to call Denise Tucker at 876-404-5842. That's 404-5842, or send an email to Denise at hjrealtors.com. That's DENESE. And we're asking 85,000 Jamaican dollars per month for this 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house.
Sounds like a deal to me. All right. Thank you so very much, Howie. Thank you, gentlemen. David, you brought a lot of your experience to bear on the program today with the information that you shared. We thank you. And Howard, as usual, we thank you for your sponsorship and your participation. And have yourselves a wonderful day, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, and
Richie. We'll get you part 2 shortly.
I am looking forward to part 2. Thank you so very much for confirming that. And Howard Johnson Realty, our sponsors, they can be reached at unit number 15 in the Ligonier Post Mall in Capital City, Kingston 6. That was Real Estate Today. This is The Edge 105 FM. We'd like to welcome our guests.